Today, we're diving into one of the most moving chapters in the entire Quran, Surah Maryam. This isn't just a series of stories. It's a deep, beautiful look at what divine mercy really means. It's about miracles, and it's about the core of faith itself. So let's get into it.
Right off the bat, the title itself tells you this chapter is special. Out of 114 chapters, this is the only one named after a woman, Maryam, or Mary, the mother of Jesus. That fact alone tells you just how revered she is and how central her story is to the whole message here.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to journey through the surah's biggest ideas. We'll start with why it's named for Maryam, then look at prayers that seemed totally impossible, the story of the virgin birth, and a literal miracle from the cradle. Then we'll see how it all connects to a long chain of prophets, and finally, what it all says about mercy and the day of reckoning.
All right, let's start at the beginning. Why this name, and how does the chapter open?
The surah kicks off with 5 Arabic letters: Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad. Now, their deepest meaning is known only to God, but what comes immediately after is the key. It's a declaration of God's mercy. This sets the whole tone. Everything that's about to unfold is soaked in this idea of divine, limitless mercy. And this theme of mercy starts with a prayer that, by all accounts, just should not have been possible. The prayer of the prophet Zechariah. Just listen to the humanity in this prayer. He isn't shouting from a mountaintop. He calls out to God in this intimate, quiet way. He's laying it all bare. His old, weak body, his white hair, the fact that his wife has never been able to have children. It's a moment of just pure, vulnerable faith.
I mean, think about the situation here. By any human logic, any medical standard, his request for a child is impossible. It's a closed case. And yet, he still asks, because he says he's never been disappointed in his prayers to God. It's this beautiful lesson that faith operates outside the boundaries of what we think is possible. And the answer he gets, it's just as miraculous as the prayer. God promises him a son named Yahya. That's John the Baptist. And get this, even the name itself is a sign from God. It was a unique name, never given to anyone before him. He's described as this amazing child, wise, pure, and devoted, a direct gift of mercy. Zechariah's miracle really just sets the stage for an even bigger one. The story now pivots to the woman the chapter is named for, and the incredible news that is delivered to Maryam herself.
You know, this conversation right here perfectly shows the difference between our human logic and divine power. Maryam, being completely pure and logical, asks a very simple, very valid question. But the angel's answer just bypasses biology altogether. The answer is, basically, for God, this is easy. This birth is meant to be a sign for all of humanity, a direct expression of God's mercy.
But this miracle brings with it a massive trial. Maryam conceives, and she has to withdraw from her family and her community because she knows exactly what they're going to accuse her of. And the Quran doesn't gloss over her pain. This cry, from the absolute depths of her despair, is one of the most raw and powerful emotional moments you'll find, showing the real human weight of her incredible calling.
And this all leads us to the story's amazing climax, where Maryam's suffering is met with direct help from God that completely vindicates her.
So in her darkest hour, a voice calls out to her. And look at the sequence here. It's not just a single miracle, it's a process of care. First, she's told not to grieve. Then, she's given a stream of water where there was none. She's told to shake a dead palm tree, and it drops fresh dates for her. It's all about giving her comfort and strength for what's coming next.
So when she finally returns to her people, holding her baby, they immediately attack her, accusing her of the worst sin imaginable. But Maryam, following God's instruction, has taken a vow of silence. She doesn't fight back. She doesn't argue. She doesn't defend herself. In this incredible act of pure trust, she just points to the baby. And then, the ultimate miracle happens. The newborn baby Jesus speaks from the cradle. His very first words are a defense of his mother and a declaration of who he is. And notice what he says. He doesn't claim to be God. He says, "I am the servant of God, a prophet given a holy book." In one single moment, Maryam is proven innocent, and Jesus' mission begins. Okay, so from that incredibly dramatic moment, the surah pulls the camera back. It zooms out to put the stories of Jesus and John into a much, much bigger context.
The chapter starts reminding us of a whole line of other prophets. We hear about Abraham and his struggle, then Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Ishmael, and Idris. Now, this isn't just a random history lesson. It's making a critical point.
And the point is this: Jesus' message wasn't something that came out of nowhere. He was one link in a very long, unbroken chain of prophets who all carried the exact same core message: worship the one true God. The Surah paints them as one single spiritual family, all united in their submission to God.
And that leads us straight into the final part of the chapter, where the tone shifts from storytelling to a very direct, powerful declaration about the nature of God and our own accountability.
After establishing Jesus as this great prophet in a long line of prophets, the Surah directly confronts the belief that God has a son. The Quran describes this idea as something so enormous, so grave, that the heavens themselves are about to be torn apart by it. The message here is absolutely clear. It is not fitting for the most merciful to have a son.
This all comes back to the central pillar of Islam, Tawheed, the absolute oneness of God. The surah says that every single being in the heavens and on earth, no exceptions, comes to God as a servant, not as a child or a partner.
So, the surah wraps up by bringing these themes home. It ends with a stern warning to those who reject the message, speaking of a day of judgment filled with regret. But it also gives a beautiful promise of peace and guidance for those who believe, perfectly balancing divine justice with divine mercy.
And after talking about all these powerful people and civilizations of the past that are now just gone, vanished without a trace, the surah doesn't end with a statement. It ends with a question that just kind of echoes through time.
Do you perceive any of them or hear from them a sound? It's such a haunting and powerful way to finish. It forces you to stop and think about your own brief time here, your own legacy, and what, in the end, truly matters and truly endures.